Plateau State in north-central Nigeria has been in the news in recent time. There is a resurgence of attacks in Bose local government area of the state. Tens of people have been killed, many more have been displaced, and communities have been deserted. I spoke with the #1 citizen of the state, MUTFWANG, who told me this is a deliberate, orchestrated plan to wipe out his people. Why has this attack persisted for more than a decade? What do you think can be done to restore peace to the plateau? I'd love to hear from you.
Governor MUTFWANG of Plateau State is my guest today on Beyond the Headlines. Your Excellency, you're on record to have said that these attacks on the plateau are not new. You have also highlighted what seems to be a regular pattern of operation, but you have not spoken so much about the why. What intelligence do you have on the factors that have fueled this persistence in the attack for more than a decade?
Thank you, Bose. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Oh, thanks. Like I said, I want to appreciate, on behalf of Plateau State people, the outpouring of love and concern from all Nigerians, because what is happening on the plateau is totally undeserved. Why has it been happening? Your guess is as good as mine. It's left to so many conjectures at this point in time, because no one has come forward to tell us exactly why this is happening. But the patterns that have emerged have shown us that this actually is deliberate, it is orchestrated, it is well planned, and we cannot fathom any reason other than displacement of the people from the land, so that they will vacate the land and leave all the assets that God has deposited there, the arability of the land, the mineral deposits in the land. You would discover that there's a lot of illegal mining taking place in the hinterland. And sometimes you want to find out who are the people behind this illegal mining. And it's difficult to know, because getting access to those places places the life of even security personnel at risk. So what I can tell you now is that the patterns we have seen over the years suggests to us that this is a deliberate land grabbing, ethnic cleansing of some sort, that because again, the fact that some communities have been cleared out and fully occupied tells us that that would be the motive.
All right. And then you had before now actually expressed concerns, that security agencies are hesitant about accessing the affected communities, and that when they eventually do, there is a lot of compromise in the system. Is this a case of local perpetrators or local collaborators now?
Yeah, more of local collaborators. You don't need more than 1 or 2 people in the community to collaborate with those who are coming from outside the community to attack it. I would rule out the possibility of local collaborators, but what is apparent is that these attackers are not within that vicinity. They come in from somewhere and unleash the attack and then disappear. Now, sometimes it's worrisome that the indigenes are cleaned out, but their neighbors, who are not of the same ethnic stock, are left. So it raises concern. Where is the neighborliness? Where is the sense of community if we cannot be there for one another? And so it raises a lot of questions in our hearts that we need the security agencies to unravel. What I said wasn't so much about hesitation on the part of the security agencies. It is just that by their terms of engagement, they normally would not go on the offensive. They have to wait when there's an attack, then they react. And sometimes the reaction could be slow, not because they intended it to be so, but the terrain itself is quite difficult and challenging. and before they react, a lot of damage would have been done. Yes, there are elements within the security agencies. We cannot deny that. The security agencies have been infiltrated to an extent where you have a lot of fifth columnists inside those security agencies. And sometimes they leak operational details to those collaborators, who now in turn leak it out to these attackers. And so you find that the overall efforts of genuine security agents becomes frustrated. So it's a huge mix of challenges that we're having to contend with.
But now the president has condemned the attacks and he's directed that perpetrators be brought to book. Beyond that, we have seen the National Security Advisor and the Chief of Army Staff visit, and now the Inspector General of Police has deployed police tactical assets to Plateau State. Do you now have confidence in the ability and determination of these authorities to flush out the attackers?
Oh, absolutely. I want to thank Mr. President. I've said it publicly. When this incident occurred, Mr. President called on me from his base outside the country to personally inquire what was happening and ask me what else can be done. And I think it was pursuant to our discussion with Mr. President that you see the security chiefs that they have risen to the occasion. And so far, so good. The extra deployments they have made of men and assets is quite useful. It's reassuring to the communities. And at the moment, I can say that, yes, we are getting somewhere where we need to. But that is not to rest on our oars. Having men and assets in itself is good, but it's not the only thing we need to do. So we're intensifying our intelligence gathering mechanism. We're intensifying community vigilance. We're sensitizing people across the state to be on the lookout. Because I keep saying this, even when the attackers attack, they pass through other communities to escape. Why would no one see them and report them? There are people who have maybe have developed an I don't care attitude, that even when they see suspicious movements, they don't bother to report. But we are dealing with some of the issues. We have to improve on communication because the terrain is such that the commercial telecom operators cannot deploy assets there because it's not commercially viable. We need to find a way of improving communication in those areas. We need to find a way to improve the access to the terrain. And I think we have started a discussion with the Chief of Army Staff that we will probably see the deployment of Army engineers to be able to go in and open up more of those rural roads so that it will make accessibility much easier.
Right. And Governor MUTFWANG, you have, on record really to have spoken about the failure of the criminal justice system, where suspects are arrested and simply later released into the society. Now that some suspects have been arrested, are you concerned that this might follow the trend?
I am not as concerned as before because the security agencies are cooperating with us thus far, and we are making sure that the suspects are in proper custody. But as you know, pressure is beginning to mount, even from some people, to say that they should be released when investigations have not been concluded. We are worried that vested interests will continue to mount pressure on the system to get those people released prematurely. We are determined to be fair, we are determined to be just, and we hope that investigations will be concluded soon and that some of those people, depending on the investigation, will be charged to court appropriately. We are confident that this time around, Mr. President's body language will not allow anybody to play games, that people will see the need to ensure that justice is served, both to the community, both to victims, and for the society at large. We are watching keenly. I am personally monitoring the custody of those suspects, their movement, and so on and so forth.
But Governor
And we'll
MUTFWANG,
continue to keep Nigerians posted.
I hear you on that, but who are these people piling pressure for the suspects to be released?
Yeah, I had one funny group making a press conference, and my attention was drawn to one funny group making a press conference. I don't know who they are, and they gave a name, but we will unravel their identities in due course. We will not shy away from telling Nigerians once we know their identities.
And so far, have you been able to gather any intelligence, or what intelligence have you been able to gather as to the financiers of the organizers of these attacks, which you believe to be genocide?
Yeah, the financiers, we have not been able to gather the intelligence. But Bose, let me tell you that the movement of this security, the reinforcement of security is very key, because the intelligence we had gathered that these attacks were not one-off. It was going to be a series of attacks on several communities. And so we are looking at the possible points of access and making sure we shut them out. This certainly, left to the attackers, this is not the last attack they would want to bring. And it is our duty to also make sure that we forestall such possibility. But as to the identities of the financiers, because honestly speaking, the amount of guns involved, the sophistication of weapons involved, this cannot be financed by ordinary people. We need to get to the bottom of this, and we will continue to work with the security agencies and our network of informants to unravel these things as the days go by.
All right. During his visits, the National Security Advisor said it is time for community members themselves to actually rise and say enough is enough. You know, that was what Nuhu Ribadu mentioned. And I'm curious as to what you suppose this entails. Would it be bearing arms to defend themselves, or would it be about enforcing the creation of organized state police, or what dimensions really?
I wouldn't know, because I wasn't there when he said it, and I've not had a conversation with him to know exactly what he meant. But I can assure you, Bose, that these conversations are going to go on, whether or not communities should be armed. You recall that there was a video that went viral when the Director of State Security urged communities to rise up to their defense. Of course, it's not to take laws into their hands. We wouldn't permit that. We want to ensure that at all times, people act in accordance with law to defend themselves and to be able to ward off external aggression. As for state police, I have said it unequivocally. I believe in it. I believe the time is now that we should be able to take that conversation to a practical level of implementation. I think it will reduce the time for decision making. It will reduce the deployment of logistics. It will also help us to be able to have more people who are familiar with local terrains. After all, I believe that policing generally, globally, is a local affair. It is difficult to coordinate it, no matter how well-intentioned you are from a far distance. But we will continue to have these conversations. And I believe that the time has come for the nation to be able to act in this direction and be very decisive.
We know that Plateau State has, a state security network. How equipped is the team to meet these security challenges being experienced on the plateau?
Yes, thank you. We have a security outfit called Operation Rainbow, which has been in existence since the days of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan as president. Of course, it suffered a lot of setbacks during the Buhari regime, but now we've been able to put it back to action. It has been very useful if you ask the communities. In terms of equipping, they are very limited. In terms of numbers, they are also limited. We are seeking ways to improve their operational capacity and ensure that, first of all, they support communities as a first line of defense, and that when the military and other security agencies have come in and done their job, that they also form the holding party. They hold the ground, help the communities to hold their grounds. Because if you're able to fence off attackers and the place is left unguarded, the chances are that these bandits will resurface, and it will be worse off for those communities. So thus far, it has done well. We'll continue to see how to equip it better. But let me say it is under the general operational supervision of the conventional security forces. So they don't operate on their own. They are under very good supervision.
All right. Now, about 64 communities have been taken over by bandits. That's what you said. They've been renamed, and you have people living in those places conveniently. Yeah. You have also spoken about efforts before now to embark on dialogues, but you said because of proliferation of arms, it has become more challenging for communities to live in peace. What options are you now considering?
It's not rocket science. We just have to get people to understand that we cannot continue in this way. This morning, afternoon rather, I had the privilege to inaugurate the Interreligious Council to help us to navigate this non-kinetic dialogue. Because sometimes these people who want to divide us and rule us, they use religion as a platform to be able to advance, their agenda. Now we want to be able to find a common ground to promote religious harmony, and then we are also working on providing ethnic harmony. These are two key platforms that we are addressing. And everyone that has followed my trajectory so far knows that I am totally unbiased, and I'm one who is willing to work with people across board. I believe that we are in a pluralistic society, and therefore we must find a common ground to live together. The challenge on the plateau is not so much of these conflicts, because I can tell you, once we sense that there's an inter or intra-community conflict, we move in. We have the Plateau Peace Building Agency, and we move in and try to sort things out. That's why for the last 1 year until this breach, we have been on the rise in terms of peace. People have been excited that peace has returned to Plateau. That's why we've been having a lot of international visitors, national visitors. A lot of national conferences have held here, and some are in the offing. But one thing I would tell Nigerians, yes, this breach happened about 70 kilometers away from Jos. But I can tell you that Jos, the capital of Plateau State, by the grace of God, is safe and sound, and will continue to ensure that it remains home to all Nigerians.
Governor Caleb MUTFWANG of Plateau State, we thank you very much for talking to us on Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you, Bose, and all the team in the studio.